How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Chaos Child. We're left here with a delusion. I believe this is the second of 3 or 4 delusions that we're supposed to come across in this route. We got the first one before we actually, got the title screen. I guess the route had already started, and we had chosen positive on that. We're going to be choosing positive on the rest in order to get the first of 2 good endings. I hope they're both good in some sort of way. And then there's 4 bad endings, so we'll be jumping around with these delusions for sure. But for now, we'll be choosing positive. But in the last episode, we noticed something a little weird. Basically, I think the reality that we're living in right now is a complete facade. If anything, I think we're in a delusion off of Ouki's power. That could explain some things, but we don't exactly know what Ouki's power is. So, we continue on living in this fake reality. I know it's fake, it has to be. Alright, so maybe people could sense the light of my inner genius no matter how hard I try to hide it. We'll get positive ready to go. But normally I didn't stand out at all. Everyone seemed to get the wrong idea, but I always tried to keep myself out of the limelight. And yet, Aozaki Yume found me anyway, which meant that she was special. The chosen rice cider and the chosen beauty drawn together by a special destiny. Yeah, I don't know who this person is. Was this all fate after all? Maybe someone was planning to get my hopes up as much as possible before humiliating me on video and uploading it to social media. There were other possibilities too. And this could also be someone's way of getting me to sign up for an expensive English language instructional materials or join some weird cult. That is a strange, first one. Why would you think that? Anyway, the fastest way to find out was to read it. And that would give me a clue as to whether it was real or a prank. I cut off just a tiny piece of the top of the envelope and took out the letter from inside. The letter was written on pretty pink paper and matched the envelope. I started to read the contents of the letter. Now this is all in the delusion. A delusion within a delusion. I don't know what is happening, but...
私の小さな胸の内だけに閉じ込めておくのは苦しくて切なくて今にも胸が張り裂けそうで。
Okay, well, first off, whoever this person is apparently does have a voice actor.
このお手紙だけで
That or it's
宮代
just
先輩に私の
someone we
思う
already
全てを
know.
伝えられるかどうかはすごく不安です。それでもやっぱり我慢できなくて。だから思いの丈すべてを込めて筆を綴ります。これまで私はずっと宮代先輩のことを見ていました。知的で何でも知っていて、それに新聞部の部長としてたくさんの人から慕われていて、なのにそれをひけらかすことなくいつもクールで、その眼鏡の奥に隠されたまっすぐな瞳を見るたびに私の心は締め付けられるように苦しくなっちゃうんです。
Okay.
そうしていつしか私は宮代先輩の虜になっていました。最近では寝ても覚めても宮代先輩のことばかり。このままでは私はどうにかなってしまいそう。もちろん私なんかが宮代先輩のような素敵な方と釣り合うとは思いません。
Oh, trust me, you're plenty.
でももし
For Takuru,
も
absolutely.
しも宮代先輩が少しでも私のことに興味を持ってくれるのなら、最初はただの後輩としてでもいいんです。先輩、私と真剣にお付き合いしていただけませんでしょうか。
Just reading it was enough to make me feel dizzy. I was ashamed that I had ever doubted her. I could feel Aozaki Yume's pure, innocent feelings for me pouring forth. Who says that they're a prisoner? What the fuck? Joy burst from within my heart. Yeah, I don't think any female would ever say that. I'm sorry to say. Actually, I'm not sorry. I ran my hand up and back through my hair and adjusted the rim of my glasses, then sighed dramatically. And then I saw it. At the bottom of the letter, there was an 11-digit number. Was that a cell phone number?
お返事待ってます。
That was what it said in cute round letters next to the number. My throat went dry and my stomach started to clench. She wanted me to talk on the phone with a girl I'd never met before, and one who is supposedly the prettiest to come along in a decade? Serica and the guys in the newspaper club were one thing, but I still got nervous talking to my classmates. This was asking way too much. It could still all be a prank, by the way. I don't know where this delusion is going. We're just panning up to the sky. I don't know how much more there is to this image. Oh, there we go. I realized I'd been standing there clutching the love letter for hours. If I waited any longer, I'd lose the chance to call her. Come to think of it, it must have taken her a lot of courage to write this letter. So if I didn't respond, Serica and Kirisu would get mad at me. And not only would it be rude to her, it would go against my own sense of morals and etiquette.
Yosh.
I gathered up all my willpower, took out the phone, and dialed the number on the paper. And then I tapped the screen with a trembling finger. And it started to ring. So that is a real number, we can verify that. The wait was torture. I had to try my best to stop from hanging up. And then she picked up.
Anyo!
What the fuck? I stammered. I totally screwed that up.
僕、
I tried my best to start over. What the fuck? Was this Aozaki's voice? What the fuck? Taku? How'd she know my nickname? This voice, was it?
Onoe?
No way. I know I entered the right number. This time it was another voice. And that voice belonged to...
Kurusu ka.
Wait a minute. What was going on? Why was I talking to Serica and Kirisu?
Moshikashite.
Maybe the girls had sent me that letter as a prank? No, but wait. I could see Serica and Ito doing it, but would Kirisu go along with something like that? Kirisu wasn't the type. There was no way. And... they sounded like they were talking about something really urgent. It didn't feel like a prank or an act.
Onoe? どうしたんだよ?
And why was the connection so bad? My heart started to beat faster. What was going on? What were they talking about? There was so much noise on the line that it was almost impossible to make them out. And they seemed like they were in a big hurry.
Oi, さっきから何言ってるか全然聞こえないぞ。もっと電波のいいところに。
And that's the end of that. Huh? What was the sensation I was feeling? What was I... Oh, right, the phone. I was on the phone. I looked at the phone I was holding. It was still trying to connect me to Aozaki Yume. There were no signs she'd picked up, and I couldn't hear Sarika or Kirisu at all. Wait, but we didn't read the letter. We were just in a delusion. My head felt so confused. Then what was that? A dream? But it felt so real. The ringing continued. Just when I thought she might not pick up, it connected. Huh? The call went through? Right?
もしもしもしもし
宮代先輩ですか?
So this was Aozaki Yume's voice. But wait a minute. Okay, well, first off, there's a few things we need to kind of lay out here. First off, we were in a delusion, so nothing that we did should have actually happened. We were all in our head there, but instead, some actions actually took place. And while we were in our little delusion there, it's like we were connecting to the outside, to reality in some sort of way. We're obviously not in reality. That part, I know for a fact. We aren't, this is not all real, it can't be. And for some reason, we had gotten in touch with Kirisu and Sarika through that phone call. It's maybe because of the delusion? Delusion on top of a delusion, maybe? That something like that was able to happen? I don't know. Regardless, this is very strange. It's so cute.
宮代先輩ですよね?
はい、そうです。
It took everything I had to keep my voice from shaking.
お電話ありがとうございます。私、嬉しいです。
いえ、こちらこそ、何と申しますか。何と申し上げてよろしいものやら。
Geez, what am I doing? The sweet voice from the phone was making me its prisoner. Oh, not this shit again.
それじゃあ、楽しみにしていますね。
Wait, what are we looking forward to?
何?
私、幸せすぎて、今夜は眠れないかもです。先輩、先に切ってください。
いや、君が先に。
God damn it, not this stupid fucking shit. I hate it when people do that.
それじゃあ、
And I'm guilty of it.
やっぱり、私から切りますね。それじゃあ、先輩、おやすみなさい。
What the fuck? Let us do our battle cry in victory or some shit? I took a deep breath and let out all the air in my lungs. I'd been in such a panic that I didn't even remember what I talked about. Yeah, me neither. The only thing I could even barely recall was that we'd agreed to go on a date after school tomorrow. She told me that it would be embarrassing to let the girls in her class see her, so she wanted to meet me someplace a little further away from the school. So we both agreed to meet at Cafe Lax, I think.
Huh? 待てよ。
My brain had started to work again, and I realized the mistake I'd made. If we went to Lax, someone from the newspaper club might see us. Not to copy what Aozaki said, but I'd be embarrassed to let them see me too. Maybe I should change the meeting location. I took out and tapped the number I just called, but...
おかけになった番号は現在電波の届かないところにいるか電源を切っているためかかりません。
Instead of her beautiful voice, I was met with the cold voice of a recording.
おかしいな。
Maybe she was taking a bath? Or she'd run out of battery? We'd been talking a long time, so it was certainly possible. I tried again, but
おかけになった番号は現在
okay, I
電
think
波の
we get
届
it.
かないところにいる
It
か
was the recording
電源
again.
を切っているため
What was
かかり
going
ません
on? But if she wasn't picking up, there wasn't anything I can do. She'd be able to see that I called, so she'd call me back when she looked at her phone. And come to think of it, we could go someplace else after meeting at Cafe Lax. Even if we did run into someone, we could probably talk our way out of it. Probably. And so... Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and I almost leapt out of my chair.
こんな時間に。
For a moment, I thought back to the Return of the New Generation madness, and I felt a cold sweat start to form under my armpits. I looked outside, afraid.
あれ、
Outside the door was a girl I knew well.
ウキ。
What was she doing here? Whatever she was here for, I couldn't leave her out there. Ouki looked relieved when she saw me.
なんだよ、こんな時間にどうした？
すみません、突然。実はこれ。
She handed me a plastic container wrapped in a tiny sack.
これ、お夕食のお裾分けなんですけど、もしよかったら。
Wait a minute. Wait a freaking minute. What's the name of that girl that we just called?
お裾分け？
Well, I guess to phrase it a little bit better here. What's the name of that girl that wrote us the love letter?
はい、佐久間先生がちゃんとしたものをタクルさんに食べさせるようにって、それで私が。
ウキが作ったのか？
はい。なので、美味しいかどうかはわかりませんが。
Okay, I actually don't know what they're talking about. I think they're talking about food or some shit. But, so, Aozaki Yume. Okay, so, hold on. Looking at Yamazoe Ouki. Let's see. Is there... Yep, there's an A right there. O right there at the end. The Z is... Yep, there's another A. There is a K from the Ouki. An I from the Ouki. The Y from the beginning of the name. The U from Ouki. We didn't use the M yet. And then the E. It's just a rearrangement of her name. This person isn't even real, I'm pretty sure. Something's not right here, man. Something's wrong. And I'm scared, because I don't know what sort of direction it's going to go in. So, somebody commented on the last episode about, you know, who this person is, like if they sound familiar or whatever. It's a name I think I'd never, you know, heard of before, but that sounded just too familiar in some sort of way. And I think I might have just figured it out. It's just a rearrangement of the letters in her name to spell a different name. I took the sack. The container was still warm. It must have been made just a little while ago.
それでは私はこれで。
Ouki bowed her head and turned to go.
あ、
I tried to say thank you, but the words got stuck in my throat. She suddenly turned back to face me.
タクルさん、いただいた観葉植物、毎日大事にお世話してますから。もしよければ、今度私のお部屋に見に来てください。
She smiled and fidgeted as she looked up at me. And then she ran off into the darkness before I could say anything. The meal she'd made for me had a very kind, gentle taste. I take it we did not sleep at all. I was so sleepy. Last night I'd been too excited to sleep properly. I'd gone through all the back issues of cool cat press I could find, trying to learn all their best dating tips. And the next thing I knew, it was light outside. A little bit of deja vu there. As a result, my mind had been dulled from exhaustion all morning, and my usual stylish and cool mannerisms were missing a little of their sharpness.
お、いたいた。
Why are you here?
おはよう、タク。
おはよう。ずいぶんと眠そうね。さてはまた夜更かししたんでしょ。
Well, of course, but why are you here?
いいよな。そりゃあんなことがありゃ眠れないよな。
Why is everyone here? As I sat down at my seat, I was surrounded by familiar faces. I took out the contents of my bag and put them in my desk, trying as hard as I could to act natural. But on the inside were screaming.
なんだそのすかした態度は。
そうだよ。せっかくこうして教室まで挨拶しに来てあげたのにさ。
そもそもなんでわざわざ教室まで来るんだよ。
そんなの決まってるじゃないすか。気になるからですよ。
She was definitely talking about what happened with Aozaki Yume's letter. I could stop thinking about her myself, or I couldn't stop thinking about her. A date. A date after school. A date with the most beautiful girl in school. Something you'd hear from a rom-com. Not this shit again. There was no way I'd be able to think about anything else. My mind was already spinning like a merry-go-round with happy fantasies. No. If I started getting excited and freaking out over a single date, I'd be no different than those wannabe normie wrong-siders. But...
ねえ、タク、教えてよ。
Sarika smacked her hands down on my desk and leaned forward.
何の話だよ。
だから昨日の手紙のことだってば。
別に尾上には関係ないだろ。
Again, we kind of like read the letter in our delusion, which I don't understand.
はあ、なるほどなるほど。
なんだよ。
さては大方の予想通り単なるいたずらだったってオチですね。そうなの？
やっぱりな。俺もそうだと思ってたんだよな。つかそうに決まってる。だって宮代がだぞ。まさかあの宮代がリア充にクラスチェンジするだなんてありえんもんな。
Bite me, Ito. Well, if that's what he wanted to think, then fine. The reality was the exact opposite.
ほらほら、みんなそんな風にしつこく聞くものじゃないわ。あくまでもタクルのプライベートな話なんだから。
Is that why you're all here, surrounded around us?
むーちゃんは気にならないの？
私は別に。
その割にはさっきからずっとここにいますよね。
それはそう、ほら、ちゃんともらった手紙には誠意を持ってお返事しなきゃダメよって言おうかなって。
ほう。
だからまあタクルが教えてくれるっていうなら、そのねえ。
Mm-hmm. I know what. You want to find out as badly as everybody else, don't you?
それで
だから何がそれでなんだよ。
いいじゃん。いい加減もったいつけずに教えろって。手紙だよ、手紙。ズバリどうだったんだよ。
本物だったの？それともいたずらだったの？
それは
それは
I am confused.
とにかくその話は終わりだ。そんなことより僕たちが今話すべきは昨日できなかった企画の話だ。
That was a little loud. Just a little bit. Everyone sounded upset. Even Kirisu joined in.
エチ。
いいじゃねえか、減るもんでもなし。
そうだそうだ。うんうん。
なんと言おうとダメだ。というわけで昼休みに企画会議の続きをするぞ。いいな。
It was clear that nothing good would come from talking to them about it. I tried to force the conversation to change direction, but
なんで昼休み？部活は放課後だよね。あ、今明らかにギクってしましたね。
つうことは
放課後に何かあるってことですな。
いや、それは
I don't think Takuru thought that one through.
あるな。
あるね。
Now that we've gone through the entire roster, everyone found out immediately. Would I be able to complete my mission after school? No, I had to. For the sake of my bright shining future. If that's what you want to call it.
それじゃあまた放課後に来るね。伊藤先輩、ちゃんと見張っててくださいね。
おう、任せとけ。
楽しみだね。放課後。
つまりここまでをまとめるとだね。
I kept thinking about what would happen after school, even during Wakui's lecture. Aozaki Yume, a girl whom everyone claimed was not only the prettiest girl in her grade, but the most beautiful in this school. I thought about going to see what she was like this morning, but eventually decided not to. If she saw me, she'd think I'd come to check her out.
宮代先輩って人を外見で判断するんですね。幻滅です。
If that happened, everything would be ruined. I wonder what she's like. Her voice was cute. I knew that for a fact. If you could tell whether someone was pretty from their voice, I could say without a doubt that she must be gorgeous. The question was what she was like on the inside. Even if she was cute, I didn't want to date a girl who was a shallow slut, alright. The whole only if they're hot thing was for shallow people with shallow minds. A true right-sider like me wouldn't be deceived by appearances. But they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but it's also true that what's on the inside, or the outside, excuse me, of a person reflects on who they are on the inside. Which meant that on the inside she had to be...
それじゃあこの先を宮代くんに読んでもらおうかな。宮代くん。
Damn, we are not paying attention.
宮代、当てられてるぞ。宮代。
We truly are in a world of our own. I suddenly realized the whole class was looking at me.
宮代くん、もしかして聞いてなかった？
いえ。
I stood up and then froze. Where was I supposed to be reading from exactly?
122ページ4行目だ、宮代。
Ito, I owe you one.
こんな夢を見た。腕組みをして枕元に座っていると、仰向きに寝た女が静かな声でもう死にますという。女は長い髪を枕に敷いて、輪郭の柔らかなウリザネ顔をその中に横たえている。真っ白な頬の底に温かい血の色が程よく差して、唇の色は無論赤い。しかし女は静かな声で、宗主夢に胡蝶となるとはっきり言った。久々然として胡蝶なり。
As I read the passage, I started to get confused. I had to read Sosuke's 10 Nights of Dreams in class before, and I didn't remember this part.
自分も確かにこれは死ぬなと思った。 そこで知らず衆の夢に胡蝶となれるか、胡蝶の夢に衆となれるかと上から覗き込むようにして聞いてみた。衆と胡蝶とはすなわち必ず死にますともと言いながら、女はパッチリと目を開け、あなたも夢の中にいるの。早く脱出しないと戻れなくなってしまうわよ、タクト。
What?
おいおい、宮代くん、一体どこを読んでいるんだい？
え？あ、いや。
My classmates must have found my reaction funny because they all started to laugh.
おいおい、いくらいいこと続きだからってしっかりしろって。
I just stood there in shock as the rest of the class laughed at me. I looked back at the textbook and there was nothing like that written there. Okay, you know what? Hold up a second. Hold up. I kind of want to like look through that. I was sitting arms crossed at the head of a bed. A woman was lying there face up. In a small voice, she told me that she was going to die. Her long hair draped across the pillow, framing a face that was soft and round. There was just a hint of blood beneath the pale skin of her cheeks, and her lips, of course, were red as well. In my dream, I become a butterfly floating here and there. I thought, yes, she was going to die, so I leaned over her and asked, "Are you a human?" And then both the human and the butterfly are indeed going to die, the woman said. Then she opened her eyes and said that you're dreaming too. If you don't get out soon, you won't be able to get out at all. Okay, so this is basically telling me, yes, 100% we're in some sort of fucking trance or delusion. We're asleep right now. And I feel like we're going too far deep here. And I want to say that that person that was talking to us, maybe, just maybe, could be Ouki. We did see her just not too long ago, holding her D-sword. I wonder what the yuck is going on, but apparently, excuse me, if we don't get out, we're gonna die, and I believe so is Ouki. This is getting creepy. I'm sorry I went back and looked at that. I just wanted to analyze that just a little bit more. That seemed more than just like your typical, who gives a shit about that sort of context. Or not context, but literature, if you will, since we are, I think, in literature class. I looked back at the textbook and there was nothing like that written there. Of course, the text certainly didn't have my name in it. What the hell was that? Was that just a delusion? Come to think of it, something weird had happened last night, too. Was Ito right? Was I just feeling overwhelmed because I'd been chosen as a news commentator and received a love letter? Or was I still tired after all the stuff that happened with the case? The harder I tried to think about it, the harder it got to think at all.
やれやれ、どうやら寝ぼけてるようだし、顔を洗ってきた方がいいんじゃないか？
すいません。
I could feel the rest of the class staring at me as I weaved my way through the desks and out to the hallway. Damn, that's embarrassing. I should probably just do what he suggested and go wash my face. Maybe that would make my head feel clearer. My footsteps echoed down the empty hallway as I headed for the washroom. I saw it again. There was no way I could mistake it for anything else. Oh, there it is. It was a D-sword. And the person holding it was...
Ouki.
But why? Before I could say anything, she turned around.
Oi!
And ran away on tiny feet, excuse me. I ran after her. Okay, there's no way she's gonna be faster than us. Come on, she's a child. I was sure she went this way. I found Ouki and quickly ran over to her.
Ouki!
Takuru-san!
Well, this isn't the Ouki we were looking for. Ouki looked up at me confused. Her bangs were a little wet, and she'd been wiping them with a handkerchief. She wasn't holding a D-sword. She was just holding a girly handkerchief.
何をしてるんだ?
実は授業中にうっかり居眠りをしてしまって、それで先生に顔を洗ってくるようにって。
Wait, why are we in the same building?
居眠り？
はい。最近朝早くから夜遅くまで施設のお手伝いをしているので疲れてしまったみたいで。
Her little body seemed to get even smaller as she apologized. Looking at her, it was impossible to tell that she was planning to do something evil with a D-sword.
そうか。
恥ずかしい話ですが。
Her cheeks went red with shame, and she turned her head downward, excuse me.
それじゃあ私は授業に。
ああ。
Ouki bowed her head and then disappeared down the hall. There it was again. I was seeing things again. What was happening to me? At least we're questioning it. Okay, well, I was expecting the bell to ring a little bit more there. Lunchtime came, and I went to the club room like I had originally planned. I was still thinking about the creepy thing I'd seen.
皆さんこんにちは。お待ちかね壁標ランチボックスの時間です。今日も皆さんのお昼ご飯を彩っちゃいますよ。というわけでしばらくの間お付き合いくださいね。
The broadcasting club were playing their daily lunch broadcast. How many people actually looked forward to this?
さてさて、今日は11月5日。この日はなんとツタンカーメンの王墓が発見された日だそうです。そしてもう一つ、いいリンゴの日でもあるそうですよ。1105でいいリンゴ。わかりやすい語呂合わせですね。
Yum yum, am I right?
でも最近はすっかり肌寒さが増してきて、リンゴっていうよりはこたつでみかんって感じかな。こたつの魔力ってすごいですよね。どんな怖い人でもこたつに入ると眠っちゃうんじゃないでしょうか。こたつで寝るのってすっごく幸せですよね。私も一度寝ちゃうとなかなか起きられなくて、早く目を覚まさなきゃって。
Yes, keep rambling, but that does make me think that, hey, I've never actually tried a heated blanket before, but thinking of actually trying one right now, it makes me feel a little awful just thinking about it, because it's really hot, like really, really hot.
早く目を覚まさなきゃ。早く目を覚ませ。早く目を覚まして。
That's an interesting part of the broadcast.
早く目を覚ましてタク。
What was that? Was someone calling my name?
そこにいちゃダメ。早く目を覚まさないと戻れなくなっちゃうよ。
I won't be able to come back? What does that mean?
おい、それって一体。
さあ、それでは今日のリクエスト曲いってみましょう。最初の曲はファンタズムで。
That sounds familiar. The lunchtime broadcast was back to normal. All the other students were acting like nothing was out of the ordinary. They were discussing what anime was good this season, or where they were going after school. It was like that broadcast had never happened.
やっぱりおかしいよな。
At this point, even I had to admit that something wasn't right. Was I going crazy?
タクルさん、どうしたんですか？
I heard a voice and turned around. And I gasped again. What the fuck, dude? Ouki was standing there holding a shining blade. Uh-oh, not this shit again.
どうしたんですか？
Huh? I adjusted my glasses and took another look. Ouki was in front of me, but she wasn't holding a D-sword. Her oval eyes went wide with surprise.
私がどうかしましたか？
Those are oval eyes?
いや、なんでもないんだ。
そうですか。
I tried to act calm, but Ouki didn't seem satisfied.
その雨季も部室だよな。
はい。
一緒に行こうか。
はい。
I walked ahead so that she couldn't tell how worried I was getting on the inside. I could feel her following me from behind.
あ、来た来た。チャオス。
Everyone was already in the room.
私お茶入れますね。
I watched Ouki start to make the tea like always and sat down in my chair.
なんだなんだ、でっかいため息なんかついて。まさか昨日の今日でいきなり彼女に振られでもしたか？
違う、そんなんじゃない。
I let my head droop down as I tried to think, excuse me. What was happening to me didn't seem to make sense. Was it only happening to me? Either way, I didn't think I'd be able to solve this problem on my own. Which meant...
あのさ、ちょっと聞いてほしいんだけど。
どうしたの？改まって。
あのさ、実は。
And then I told them all about everything that had happened since last night. I didn't mention Ouki's name, since she was right there.
それって大丈夫なのかな？
専門のお医者様に見てもらった方がいいかもしれないわね。
Everyone started to give their own opinions.
私はあんまり考えすぎない方がいいと思いますけどね。ほら、気の持ちようってのもありますし。
そうそう。女の子から手紙もらって舞い上がってるだけだろ。
そうかな。
Maybe I was overthinking things. To be honest, I didn't want to think too hard about it. Maybe I just wanted to hear that everything was okay. I did feel a little better getting it off my chest.
タク？
あ、いや、参考になった。礼を言うよ。
もういいの？
Yeah, pretty much.
なあ、それに企画の話もしなくちゃならないし、いつまでも僕の問題にかまけている時間もないだろう。
それはそうだけど。
それじゃあ改めて今後の活動についてだけど。
Oh, thank God we don't have to worry about conversating
それ
about
じゃあ
that.
当面の活動目標は渋谷復興祭のレポートっていうことでいいわね。
We ended up picking the obvious answer for our project. I'd been opposed to it up until now, but after what was happening to me, I honestly didn't care anymore. I'd have been just as happy to do a cooking video. Even the excitement I'd been feeling for my after-school date was beginning to fade. I just want to see what she looks like, to be honest. As the school day drew to a close, I kept turning my phone on and then turning it off again. Of course, I was thinking of calling Aozaki. My mood kept getting darker and darker as afternoon classes proceeded, and I didn't feel like I was up for a date anymore. It wouldn't be right to spend a date feeling like this, and more than anything, it would be rude to her. Part of me wanted to do it another day, and part of me didn't want to waste this chance. I thought and thought and...
やっぱり今日は体調が悪いってことにして別の日に伸ばしてもらおう。
May as well get it over with then. I turned my phone on again before I could change my mind, and then tapped in her number. What, did we memorize it or some shit? She didn't answer.
もう一回。
She still didn't answer. I kept trying, but she never picked up. So much for one more time. Come to think of it, she would have seen that I called last night, but she hadn't called me back. If you got a call from your boyfriend, wouldn't you normally either pick up right away or call back?
仕方ない。
It might not be ideal, but it would be better than blowing her off. I decided to visit the second-year classrooms. But I didn't know what Aozaki looked like. I only knew her name and phone number. I should have asked Ito first, but maybe there was no helping that now, excuse me.
せめて有村がいれば。
She'd be able to tell me what class Aozaki was in at least. I went to Arimura's classroom, but I couldn't find her. She may have gone home already. I guess I just have to...
はい。
I worked up what little courage I had and asked one of the girls walking by.
ちょっといいですか？
なんですか？
その、青崎ゆめさんのクラスってどこですか？
は？
だから青崎ゆめさん。
青崎？
That was strange. If she was the prettiest girl in school, she should have at least heard of her. I asked someone else. But, same reaction?
青崎さん、知ってる？知らない。てか、そんな人2年にはいなくない？
There wasn't? Arimura had said that she was the prettiest girl in the school, not just the second-year class. Ito knew about her too, and he'd even been jealous of me, excuse me. I talked to her last night on the phone. I decided to visit the first-year class just to be sure. Maybe I'd heard wrong, and Aozaki was a first-year student, not a second-year student. But...
いませんよ、そんな子。
Well, things are sure getting weird here. If they weren't already. What the hell was going on? How could there be nobody named Aozaki Yume in either grade?
そうだ。
I decided to call Arimura. Watch her not exist now.
くそ。
Does nobody pick up their fucking phone? This was the first time I could remember where she hadn't picked up the phone. Fine, I'd send a text. I waited but got no answer. What the hell? What was happening here? A black shadow started to press down on my heart. Did this have something to do with the other strange things that were happening around me? Or was my earlier guess right, and Arimura and the others were trying to prank me? I mean, I'd see that happening. I wasn't going to get anywhere sitting around all day waiting for an answer. I ended up going to Cafe Lax where we were supposed to meet. If I went there, I should be able to find her. Even if it was a prank, my friends would all be there, eagerly awaiting my arrival. Either way, I'd learned something.
も？
I went into the cafe and looked around from a slightly concealed vantage point.
何をしておる？
いや、ちょっと。
まあよい。さっきからずっと待っておるぞ。
そう。
Huh? Wait a second.
今なんて？
待ち人じゃ。ほれ、そこに。
I adjusted my glasses and took another look. What the fuck? Wait, she actually exists? Okay, yep, that is somebody we've never ever seen before.
よかった。来てくれたんですね。待ってたんですよ、宮代先輩。
She was Aozaki Yume? All thought evaporated from my mind. The world quickly lost its color, and all the noise around me seemed to fade away. The only thing I could see was the girl in front of me. A shock like a gunshot went through my chest. Her silken hair, her long eyelashes, her oval eyes, like stars. Wait a minute. Her perfect nose, her lips the color of pale cherry blossoms. Her chest was the perfect size, not too large and not too small, and her hips were curvy but not too curvy. Her skin was smooth and it glowed like there was a light shining from within her. And more than anything, her beautiful smile as she looked at me. Every part of her body seemed to have been blessed by the goddess of beauty herself. What the Okay, leave that shit at home. Yes, she was an angel. She was a miracle, come down from heaven. She was customized to be exactly what I wanted. Hey, that might be a big hint there. That was no exaggeration. It was the only way I could think of it. I was looking at the very incarnation of everything I'd ever wanted in a girl. What could I call this except a miracle? All the doubts in the back of my mind crumbled away like sand blown by the wind. All the girls in the lower classes at Hekiho had told me they'd never heard of Aozaki Yume, but she was right here, right in front of me. What other fact could I possibly need?
どうしたんですか、先輩。
Oh boy, another one of these. This should be the last one, right? In that case, oh no, wait, not that. What am I doing? let's be careful here. All right, so I'll save that on this, and therefore save this here. All right, and positive. I didn't need anything else. Everything was right in front of me. Believe and you shall be saved.
待った。
Just as I took a step toward her, I heard loud footsteps coming up the outside stairs. The footsteps stopped and then I heard the door open. I turned and saw... Who are we gonna see, huh? Oh, Sarika.
おのえ、お前なんでここに？もしかしてつけてきたのか？
つけてきたんじゃないもん。ついてきたんだもん。
どっちだって同じだろ。なんでそんなことするんだよ。
だって気になるんだもん。
Okay, yeah, that's a good explanation.
は？聞こえないよ。はっきり言えって。
だから気になるんだもん。
Sarika stuck her lips out into a pout and sulked.
気になるってどうせ面白半分だろ。さすがにそういうのはどうかと。
違うもん。そうじゃないもん。
だったらどういうことだよ。
トクはさ。
Sarika never held back about saying what she was thinking, but now she looked really hesitant. It felt weird seeing her act this way.
トクはゆめちゃんになんて返事をするの？オッケーって言ってそのままラブラブになっちゃうの？
ラブラブって。
オッケーするんでしょ？しちゃうんだよね。
それは
やっぱりそうなんだ。オッケーしちゃうんだ。それで人前で堂々とイチャイチャしたり放課後の学校でチューしちゃったりするんだ。
Well, you know, high school life, youth and all that, so maybe.
お前何言ってんだ。
そりゃ相手は学園一の美少女だし断る理由なんてないよね。
The prettiest girl no one knows about.
あのな、別に僕がどう返事しようがお前には関係ないだろ。
It felt like she was throwing a tantrum, and I reacted coldly. Normally she'd just complain more, but today something was different about Sarika.
おのえ？
関係なくないもん。
The lighting, excuse me, of the cafe reflected off of her wet eyes.
おのえ？
I had no idea. I had no idea that Sarika could look so sad.
関係なくなんかないもん。
おい。
私だって本当はずっとタクのこと見てたのに、タクの一番そばにいたのに、本当はずっとタクのこと一番好きだ
それなのにこんなのいきなり出てきた女の子に取られちゃうなんて。
I mean, you got that last part right.
そんなのやだよ。
All I could do was stand there like an idiot as she sobbed. Serica was in love with me? She always had been? No, but she'd never shown any signs of that. We could just be really oblivious. I had no idea what to do. At no time in my short life had I ever dealt with anything like this.
とにかくちょっと落ち着こう。
And that was all I could say. I'd always thought of Serica as a friend, as someone I could always count on regardless of her sex, excuse me. I'd never really seen her as a girl. I thought that we could always be friends like that. But... God damn. Sorry, I was getting a drink. She turned away and ran down the stairs, and the tears reflecting in the light as they streamed down her face.
待ってて、ちゃんと話を。
I tried to follow after her when the delusion ended. What? Was that a delusion? Then where was Serica?
Huh?
すみません。
The footsteps coming up the stairs weren't Serica. They belonged to a man I'd never seen before. So that was an actual delusion. Okay. Serica in love with me? What was I thinking? That was impossible.
Huh? What?
I suddenly gasped in surprise. Aozaki had been right there in the chair a moment ago, but now she'd vanished. I looked all around the room, but she was nowhere to be seen. Had she gotten annoyed watching me just stand there and gone home? No, that was impossible. There was only one entrance to the cafe. It was impossible for her to leave without me seeing it. I went to where she'd been sitting and took a closer look. But there was nothing on the table. There was no sign that anyone had ever put a water glass on the table, and the chair was pushed in. There was nothing to hint that anybody had been sitting there at all.
なんだよこれ。一体どうなってるんだ。
I'd seen a girl sitting here. I'd heard her voice. Was that all a hallucination? Another product of my delusions?
Huh?
I'd suddenly felt someone looking at me. It's Ouki. I looked around the cafe but didn't see anyone. I looked outside. Outside the window on the other side of the street where the sun was setting, I saw a tiny silhouette looking up at me.
Ouki.
There was no doubt about it. And as she looked at me with silent, calm eyes, there was an elegant and razor-sharp blade in her hand. I ran out of the store. This time I was sure of it. Ouki was watching me.